I just got broken into two. Still I call it magic when I'm next to you. And I don't, and I don't, and I don't, and I don't. No, I don't, it's true. I don't, no, I don't, no, I don't, no, I don't want anybody else but you. I don't, no, I don't, no, I don't, no, I don't. No, I don't, it's true. I don't, no, I don't, no, I don't, no, I don't want anybody else but you.
Thanks so much for joining me, Jordan.
No problem at all, Peter. It's a pleasure to be on the show, honestly.
So far this season, you've had a fantastic, you had fantastic 2 games, 15 tackles so far. What do you attribute that success to?
Definitely to the coaching, just coming out on this team, I learned a lot my first couple weeks coming in here. Just the coaches ready to become the athlete that I am right now because they just did a great job with showing me how the defense works. And I learned so quickly the defense and everything that things just kind of came easy to me. And I gotta say that a huge thing was the coaching and being a coachable guy. Because if I wasn't coachable, honestly I wouldn't even be starting right now. So I just gotta say the coaches definitely helped me out with this, and I owe it all to them, Peter.
What's your relationship with linebackers coach Nico?
We have a very tight relationship. I'm a Libertyville guy in Syracuse, so we knew each other before I entered the program, and I love the man. He's a great guy. He's a D3 All-American, so I respect the man instantly. He knows what he's talking about, and he's just a great coach, great man.
Like you mentioned, coming from Libertyville, how'd you get involved with Lake Forest College? How'd you reach out and decide to attend the college here?
So actually, before Lake Forest College, I decided to go to Winona State. It's a D2 school that offered me a scholarship to go there, and after being there for a little bit and realizing what it was about, I needed a change. I needed something new, and I talked to the coaches right away at Lake Forest, and they gave me the opportunity to play ball here, and they said, if you work hard and you earn it, you can play here. And they really did mean what they said, and I'm here right now. I'm playing. I'm loving it here. When they mean family, they do mean it, and I'm very happy. Yeah, I made the decision to go here.
So obviously this is your first season here with Lake Forest College. How have you fit in with the linebacker group?
Honestly, I'm a pretty funky dude. I'm gonna be honest. I like to talk when I'm not supposed to. I like to get a little rowdy, but when it's game day, when it's that time, I'm serious, and they know not to joke around, and we know it's time to get our job, to get the work done, to do our job. So.
You have a game this Saturday against Cornell. Where do you view their weaknesses among their offensive line? Or
after looking at their offensive line, there wasn't a lot that showed that they were that special or unique. I feel like that if we do our jobs right and we do it well, we can stop their offense to get nothing. The big thing is their quarterback. He's a fast guy, and we just cannot make vertical seams, and we just got to make sure he stays in that pocket or get a sack. So, and I'm all up for that every day.
We'll let you get some rest here. Have a great game Saturday.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so much for bringing me on the show.
No problem. Thanks so much. So live from his hotel room in Mount Vernon, Iowa, is Coach Katenzaro. We couldn't do it this week at the field, so thanks so much for joining us through FaceTime. The magic of technology.
It's great, isn't it? We can still talk about the game, and that's a beautiful thing.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Coach. Quarterback Jagan Cleary had a fantastic game last Saturday. 387 yards, 2 touchdowns. Has he been performing to your standards so far?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is he had as good of a team as he did, and yet he'll tell you he still missed 2 throws. He had a chance to take off and run one other time, and then he tried to do something he's not supposed to do, throw across the body back to the middle of the field on a bootleg. So, as great as he played, we're sitting here thinking, man, imagine if he And that ultimate pitch for the perfect game, he's getting dangerously close. We just want him to keep peaking and moving forward. But it's not a surprise with Jagan at all. He stayed on campus all summer and really worked to hone his craft and get better and better. So that he's a guy who really wants to see success for our whole team. And he'll do 1 week, he'll only throw the ball 15 times. Another week he may throw it 30 times. But he's proven to be extremely efficient when he does. And if he can keep doing that, we're going to have a lot of success offensively.
As I mentioned in last week's Forrester Focus, the key to the game would be stopping Zach Creighton when he's passing and rushing as well. Did you feel like you accomplished that goal?
Short of one running play where we had a gap mistake in a blitz, he had 84 rushing yards on one play. And we had a guy who was supposed to be in the B gap. He didn't go in the B gap, and all of a sudden Zach ran through the B gap. And we didn't be able to grab him. So I thought we did a pretty good job focusing on him. They really didn't get their power read game going against us like they had in the previous week against McAllister. So I thought we did a pretty good job there. There's maybe one or two passing game things that we need to clean up this week, but I thought that our defense played really, really well. The drive at the beginning of the third quarter, there were 6 penalties called. I won't necessarily give you my opinion on some of those calls, but I think that had we not given those drive extending penalties to go, I think we would have seen maybe an even different result than what we had. That game, it really kind of got into that adversity that we self-created during the third quarter, and we just needed to get out of that funk in the third quarter and get back to doing our stuff in the fourth quarter.
Joy Valdiva, he's been putting up video game-like numbers. Really just pushing it every game. Can we expect those rushing numbers to continue?
I hope so. That's our goal, is to give the ball as much as possible. What's really interesting about Joe, the same thing that we said about Jagan. If you look at the film, you're like, Joey missed 5, 6, 7 cuts in the first quarter that could have taken 5-yard runs or 4-yard runs into 20, 25-yard runs. And he could have had an even more explosive day. They were doing a good job focusing on him and bottling up the run game, and that's why the passing game opened up for Jagan. And Charlie Quinn had over 100 yards receiving. Alex Pazwitz with over 100 yards receiving. And Joey Valdivia even had 50-something, 60 yards receiving as well. So even though he wasn't getting a couple of the big runoffs in the run game, we were able to get him in the passing game and get him his touches there.
Do you feel like Charlie Quinn has developed into more of a superback, as Northwestern loves to use that role with Dan Vitale? Do you feel like he's developed into, especially using the bubble screen on a lot of plays, to really utilize him as well as a wide receiver?
Absolutely. Charlie's an all-conference tailback for 2 years, and with him and Joey, it was a matter of how can we get both of them on the field and get the ball in their hands as much as possible. And Charlie's only getting about 10 touches a game right now, or 12 touches a game. Last week, he just happened 9 of them were through passes. And we see the bubble screen is kind of an extension of the run game. If you're an old triple option guy, he'd be the pitch guy in the triple option. We just want to get the ball and get him out in space against their secondary and let him make plays. I think he's surprising people with some of his speed and his ball skills catching the football. I don't know that they were expecting that from a guy who was a tailback the last 3 years of his career.
Coach, well, you've had a lot of statistical categories working in your favor so far. One that is not is the amount of penalties you've given up so far. In total so far, you've given up 240 yards in penalties, while you've only gotten 50 off of opponents' mistakes. How will you fix that number to make sure you're not giving as many free yards to your opponents?
Well, needless to say, it's been the bone of contention and point of emphasis from the head football coach all week. And whether you're talking about in special teams play, where we've had 2 major, we've had great kick returns negated by penalty, or drive extending penalties like we had this past week. Part of it last week was it got under our skin and our guys didn't handle it. And I think that one of the things in their competitive nature is they knew they were able to do things on the field if they were given the opportunity to, and they felt like they were playing against 2 opponents instead of 1. From my perspective, they've got to get out of that funk. We actually called a timeout during the third quarter and brought the whole team up to try and address that. I think we played a little bit better after that, but we needed that calming, settling moment, and it was called at a time where I wouldn't usually call a timeout to talk to the whole team. And we needed to just have that moment of take 2 deep breaths and get back to playing football the way we're supposed to. But with the penalties, sometimes it's an aggressive thing, and you got to be on the borderline as a football player of being on that super aggressive thing that may end up turning into a penalty, or it may be that thing where it's borderline on the call and the ref sees it one way and we see it a different way. penalties, I'm glad we took, because I think that if one of the pass interference penalties we don't take, it might lead to them scoring a touchdown, and then we're able to bounce back and get a stop. So I think that sometimes there are such things as a good penalty in football, but we had way too many. We had too many that weren't good penalties over the last 2 weeks. And we really got to get that cleaned up. It's not just lip service. We've been talking about as a team, as a coaching staff, that if we could ever get to the point where we're not giving those 240 yards up to our opponents or whatever it might be, we're going to be an even better football program.
Now, coming back to a positive side, what was that bus ride like back to Lake Forest after the win?
Well, we've got a tradition here called the Happy Bus Ride. So whenever we go on the road, we're able to get a victory. That becomes we try to keep the spirits up. We want to be able to enjoy the win. My first couple years coaching, I felt, when I was out here, we had these long bus trips, and it felt like, okay, we got our food on the side of the bus, we got on the bus, popped to the movie, and that was that. And we never had that moment, or 20 minutes or 30 minutes with our teammates to truly enjoy the victory, for the hard work that we did, because we were so concerned about coming home back to Lake Forest. And, we're at home games, we've got our great post-game tailgate and all that kind of stuff to celebrate with our fans and family. And so what we did is now we just have we get the speakers turned up, we play some music, it's an all-request kind of deal. There's a couple of, traditions the guys have with different songs, and, whether it's the D-line has a song or, one of our players has a song, there's a lot of fun to it, and I think it's one of the things that our guys really appreciate. And and after a while, we turn the videos on, we watch a movie. Last week's bus ride was 7 hours, so after about the first hour of music, I think we're all ready to watch a couple of movies and then get back to campus.
I can attest to after every Saturday game, I always love reading on Twitter the song suggestions, especially Joe Nitty and some of the guys. They have fantastic results. That's always something interesting. So I can't imagine being on that bus ride. That's definitely something I'd love to do. So moving on to next week's game against Cornell. How do you feel finally getting into Midwest Conference action?
This is what we prepared for. We really want to have a chance at that conference championship, and in order to do that, it's got to start this week. And we've continued to increase that 1-0 mentality. So we won the non-conference season for ourselves. We went 2-0. We're one of only 2 teams in our conference that did that, us and Monmouth. And so we take great pride in the fact that we're able to get a home game, go on the road and get a game. And now we've got to focus in on Cornell and being out here in Mount Vernon, getting ready to play those guys.
Cornell runs a base 42 defense. Is your offense prepared to handle heavy blitzes and schemes?
I think they are. I think the luxury that we have this year is we've got a really veteran offensive line. You've got 2 all-conference offensive tackles. You've got a couple of 10-game starters in the middle there. And so those guys are prepared for anything. They've seen it. I also think the thing that helps them in their preparation is they play against our defense every day in practice. And we jump in out of a 4-man front to a 3-man front. We blitz on the edge and in the middle and crisscross. They've seen just about every blitz there is just by going against our team all training camp. I think that this week, they're seeing a team that runs a 4-2, very similar to how it was run by Beloit in week 1. Maybe not quite as much like Carleton, but there's a lot of similarities in the first 3 weeks of the season of the defense we're facing. And I think our offense has proven that if they stay locked in, good things will come to us.
Who do you see as being the biggest weapon on Cornell's offense?
Daniel Brown. He's one of the most dynamic players in our league. I refer to him as the best athlete in our league, no doubt about it. And he's a guy that when he's got the ball in his hands out in space, whether it's taking off on a quarterback draw, scrambling around trying to find somebody downfield, he's really dangerous. And we know that. We've seen it firsthand, and the last couple of years. And I think that for us, if we have any chance in this game on Saturday, it's going to start with our ability to keep him somewhat contained early in the game. If we can keep him contained early in the game, it'll give us a chance to figure out how they want to attack us. But if we can kind of let him take off and start using his legs to scramble around, it could be a very long day for us.
It seems like in your game so far, you've had to really focus on a quarterback. A lot of quarterbacks, in Danny May, Zach Creighton, guys that can do both. They can rush and pass, and you haven't had to focus too much on the rushing aspect. Cornell brings in a little bit of ground game attack. How do you feel like you'll have to manage both?
Well, the first game of the year, we were prepared for that with Mason Dixon. Fortunately or unfortunately, fortunately for us, he didn't play. So we were able to focus a little bit more on Danny that game. his legs just scrambling around for the Packers, or you watch a guy like Russell Wilson who will occasionally pull it on the zone read and go. Those guys are dangerous, and they do have two tailbacks this year that have started for them in different games. Both guys are very different runners. Devin's much more of an outside perimeter type runner who wants to get on the edge and use his speed. Their young freshman, number 22, he's really good. He's tough. He likes to run inside between the tackles, but he can take some of those plays outside and get an angle on you and have some success. And this week it'll be a challenge to have both those guys back there. But the guy who's going to touch the ball first out on every single play is still going to be Daniel Brown. And so we've got to make sure we keep our eyes on him and know what he's trying to do.
All right, I'll let you get back to a meeting and get some good night's sleep in a hotel bed. Thanks so much for joining us via satellite, Coach.
You got it, Peter. Thanks so much for having me. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, good luck on Saturday.